Mr. Chirchir, and National Treasury, CES, Njuguna Ndung'u, have certainly committed criminal offenses, abused office, and gone against the Constitution. They stole money from the Consolidated Fund in addition to spending monies way above what Parliament approved. They must not only resign, they must also be prosecuted.
Mimi naendesha serikali yenye iko na uwazi. Wacheni uongo, wacheni rumors, wacheni speculation, semeni ukweli.
I concur with Senator's suspicion that Njeri is the private financial enterprises funded by the Kenya shillings 17 billion illegally from the Consolidated Fund and received by the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining.
Hapa Kenya, wakati mimi nimechaguliwa kama rais, watu walikuwa napiga mlolongo kwa petrol station, hakukuwa hata na mafuta. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Si watu walikuwa wanahangaika kupiga foleni, unaenda petrol station hii hakuna mafuta, unaenda hiyo ingine hakuna mafuta. Kampuni zote, karibu kampuni 100 za mafuta za Kenya zilikuwa zimefungwa kwa sababu hawakuwa na uwezo ya kutafuta madola.
I'm asking that the documents be shared with the public. This must be documents signed by a representative of the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and the Republic of Kenya, not that of the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum and ADNOC Global Trading Limited or Emirates National Oil Company.
Hizo contracts zote, they are available, ziko bunge tayari. Wacheni kutuadaa ati mnataka tuwapatie contract. Contract iko public. There is no secret contract anywhere. Contract iko public, iko bunge. Wabunge wote wako huko. Wabunge ya serikali wako ndani ya bunge, wabunge wa upinzani wako ndani ya bunge, waende waangalie hizo contracts na wainterrogate, watajua sisi we are running an administration that is above board and that looks for the best interest of the Republic of Kenya.
Calling upon her to execute her mandate in this matter and investigate the following. 1. The procurement processes engaged in by the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum in recruitment of suppliers and their local agencies. 2. The criteria applied by the G2G arrangement in arriving at the prices at which Kenya is to buy fuel.
If you read the Azimio manifesto na Kenya Kwanza, both of them ilikuwa na proposal ya housing levy. Lakini kwa sababu wanataka tu kufanya siasa na kuongea maneno ambayo isaidii nchi ya Kenya, ati wanatuambia watoe. Mtu yoyote ambaye ata-insist kwamba ati lazima tutoe housing levy, basi mkutano ya mazungumzo itaisha, mtu arudi kwa barabara afanye ile ambaye alikuwa anataka.
Hatuna nia mbaya, nia ni moja, mwananchi angalau apate chakula.
Sababu ya ushuru kupanda, mafuta kupanda, ni wenzetu kupandisha ushuru. Walipotoa 8%, pale Uhuru Kenyatta alituachia VAT, ndio mafuta ili double, ikatoka 8% ikaenda 16, ikatoka bottom ikaenda wapi?
Hawa Kenya hawajatuma Azimio kwenda kukaa pale kuongea maneno ya viti na vyeo, maneno ya ati the creation of the office of the Prime Minister or the office of the official leader of opposition. Hiyo maneno ikae huko, mturudia hapa mseme wale wamekataa kurudisha chini gharama ya maisha. And I want to speak as an elder of the church.
No need of talking about that document if it's not addressing the cost of living, or why would we bother with it? If it is not addressing the invasion of Jubilee by UDA, what is the use of that document to us?
Bombers, if those two basic minimums are not met, reduction in the cost of living and paying fidelity to the law as regards political party, leave Jubilee alone, do your own thing.
the soapbox there, just giving you the feel and flavor of how it has been so far, with the sentiments from different leaders as well, as we continue with the conversation, interrogating those and looking keenly at what is the debate. There seems to be a holy grail in terms of getting the facts as well. The president has been very categorical, if you had him, that the documents are in parliament. So both legislators from the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio should tell us what is in the documents. Have they probed these particular documents, and why is it a holy grail? Why are they complaining about the documents to be actually brought to bear from the government if it's in the public domain? So who is falling home and who is taking Kenyans for monkeys? I'm holding court with Dan Manzo, who is a senator of Makueni, and of course also we do have with us Farah Maalim, who is a member of parliament for Dadaab, and the Senator Tabitha Mutinde as well, nominated senator of the National Assembly. Dan Manzo, of the Senate. All right, let's hear from Dan Manzo. You've been challenged by the president, and I want us to tell Kenyans, if you're privy to this particular information, where is it at? Why are we struggling when the president says it is with you? Even the speaker of the National Assembly here, or a member of the speaker panel, Farah Maalim, is here. So Senate and the National Assembly is presented, but the document itself is a holy grail. What is that issue? What is the situation?
Well,
where is it?
Personally, I've not seen the document, but I want to go back a little bit into history.
No, but I want to know, the president seems to be very categorical. He's very confident the document is there. Tabitha says, have you seen the document yourself?
No.
You've not seen it?
No.
You're a member of UDA?
Yes, I am.
You've not seen this document. Farah Maalim, have you seen the document?
No, but maybe today we'll see it.
It is there. It's only that I've not created time to see it. We are not saying that it's not there. But
where is it at?
Look, we don't know. I can only tell you tomorrow if I'm here whether I see I've seen it. Or
so today
today I'll go and make a deliberate, attempt to access it.
To access?
You go and access the document. You go and ask for it. Nobody's going to come and volunteer documents to you. No. But once you ask for it.
So none of you have volunteered?
No, we
not
haven't.
Yet?
Because we didn't know it.
Dan Manzo, you've not volunteered to ask?
Well, I haven't seen, personally, I've not looked at them, but I know Senator Umtata made a follow-up.
No. I'm asking about you. That is Umtata. I just wanted to know about you.
Not. First of all, there is something
called... So Umtata has read on your behalf?
No.
That's the thing. That's how they
I want to
operate.
say that there is something called, Government Official Secrets Act. And I want this particular document to be released.
Which act? Government Official Act. Dibal, if we could get that clarity.
No, the president, none other than the president and the leader of Kenya Kwanza said that those documents are available to members of parliament. So when we go back, we'll accept
the documents.
And accept that we've not looked at them.
And in fact, if they are in parliament, they are public documents.
Yeah.
I believe that the press in parliament should be able to access them today, and should be one of the biggest news that these documents are here. I'm sure if they are in parliament, really they are public documents.
Look,
all of us should be able to see them. And
correct.
beginning with the press, because this matter is really intriguing. But I just wanted to go a little bit into history and say that when President Kibaki became president, even the shilling gained against the dollar automatically. And instead of making a lot of noise, he went into work. And his works were now he changed the economy. He did not blame the previous president and did not blame others for whatever mess had been there. He went on to work for Kenyans. He made sure that, in fact, Kenyans volunteered to pay taxes. And all of us want to pay taxes, so long as we know that the money is working for us, is not to be stolen. And I believe, narrowing back to this particular deal, and even the issue Honorable Farah Maalim has said, and I have a lot of respect for him, because he's been around for many years. Just like Honorable Raila Odinga has even been a minister for energy. So he knows all these things, and he knows how they are done. I want to say that even if there were dealings during President Uhuru's time, we also have seen some results like the expressway and the new railway. And people are using them, and that's something tangible which had not been done for many years. If there were corrupt deals, President Uhuru Kenyatta has not run away from this country. He is now no longer above the law. He should be investigated, and people should show us what he did personally, and should also be prosecuted for it. Just as we are saying, Chil must be prosecuted, because now the information is available. The 17 billion deal is a fraud. And it is the face of it that it is a fraud. And therefore, nobody should come defending him. He should own it himself. When you come to the story of Annie Jerry, the documentation of our company were not appropriate. And that's what caused suspicion. Why will you be dealing with a person with a company whose documents are wanted? When she's interviewed, she's unable to explain. She does not even understand this trade. And it turns out eventually she's just a frontier of other people. Now, these people, the belt must be opened. These people are known. Why can they be prosecuted? And why can the government also allow that prosecution? It begins with the president himself. He must then ask Churchill to step aside. He went with him to the public, and the public shouted at him that you are killing us. This was at his own home ground. And I believe that wasn't political. Nobody will blame Raila Odinga or the opposition for that. It happened at their own home, in their stronghold, at their political party, by the members of their political party. That shows the level of dissatisfaction of Kenyans by now. And therefore, the investigating authorities should not feel tied down. The way Parliament is tied down, the way judiciary is threatened by the executive. The executive should allow the arms of government to work. And I believe in fair, free country, the president should lead the fight against corruption. If he's not part of the dealings of Churchill, he should let Churchill be prosecuted.
All right, let's wind up on the oil deal. We go to other matters as well.
Personally, I would want us, raising taxes has never developed a country. Lowering taxes has developed a country. Because when you lower these corporate taxes to a very small, manageable, competitive level, you invite a lot of investors to come into the country to come and invest. The only thing they would be looking for is infrastructure, the roads, the water, and the electricity at rates that are affordable, and then skilled manpower. We have the biggest skilled manpower here, I think, in sub-Saharan Africa. And then rates, or rather wages, that essentially are manageable. They're running away from that very high cost of production in the Western world. They want to come and produce in Africa, in a country like Kenya. And Kenya is so good that all Western investors would want to come in here, because they would walk, a matter of 1 hour from the Central Business District here, or drive from the Central Business District and go into a national park. They'll fly out of this place for 45 minutes or 40 minutes and go to the best beaches you have anywhere in the world. They will love this thing. And a country where the literacy rate is very high and everybody speaks English, you would invite a lot of investors to come in here, to put up their factories in here and create employment. And then your government gains from that economies of scale. You see, the tax bracket gets big and wider. So any increase on taxes, as far as I'm concerned myself, is ill-advised. I know some people will say that, look, we are going to default on our loans repayments. We can go back and try and renegotiate this loans repayment for a further grace period or a moratorium. So to that extent, I do not support the idea of tax increases, whether it's on fuel levy or any other personal taxes and the rest of it. As for this thing called the G2G, oil is always available at multiple prices. You can buy oil at that level, you can also buy it at this level. There's always oil available. Whether it's G2G or whether you make a private deal with other oil producers, the people who are selling oil which is not in the OPEC quota itself for a very cheap price. The Saudis produce much more oil than they have in terms of their quota. So they're willing to have those private deals at a much discounted prices, because their quota is fixed. Their daily quota is about 10 million or 9 million or something like that. If they produce 13 million, what do they do with that? They're willing to sell it for a much less price. Now, instead of trying to look for those things to become personal benefits in the pockets of people, to line up people's pockets, and any country would want to go and make those deals for their own people. I remember the late Siad Barre did a lot for Somalia. Nyerere did a lot for Tanzania. There are many, what do you call, countries that were led by patriots who cared about their people more than anything else, and who did not care for a single dollar in their own pockets, and they did those things. In our case, it's always the political class. From the beginning, from day one, our first president and the first prime minister at independence is the biggest landowner in this country. Progressively, it continues like that. And when you look at richness, it's the first president, the second president, the third president, progressively, all the way to the opposition leaders. So a nation of that kind, I always use this, what you call a adage from my tribe, my language, which says, you can never recover camels that are stolen by the owner. The owners of this country are the ones who steal this country. Listen to me very carefully. No, that is a bigger and a wider problem that we need to deal with. As of this, I want us to go and do a massive research, find out all the numbers, find out where we bought all this oil, what was the G2G prices, what was the benefits that accrued, where did those benefits go? Did they go into individual pockets the way it always did before, or did they go into other things, in like, either subsidy or what do you call the El Nino or whatever it is? So these are the kind of things. I have more or less resigned to a fact that we need a fundamental revolutionary process in this country. These things that keep on, popping up every day, and we keep on making big noise about it. No, they are more. The thing is fundamental. It's at the roots of the foundation of the creation of independent Kenya, and we need to deal with it in that fashion. If you don't deal with it, Akuna, who is not corrupt? Who has not been corrupt in this country? Which government has not been corrupt? All of them have been corrupt. Which individuals? Who are the richest people in this country? And then look at their political profile. The richest, the first president, second president, third president, progressively, all the way down, all the way to the opposition leaders. How do they make that money? Do they make it through business? By selling things? No. It's all made through corruption. It's all made by stealing from Kenyans. Now, that theft itself, because it starts at the head, has permeated to the lowest. That's why you have to put a CCTV to watch on your maid, how she's treating your child. It doesn't matter how much you pay her and how much she's stealing from you. You get my point? Many years back, I had a very interesting thing. I had a maid who was a Muslim, who was basically, we're bringing her up like our own child. And every time we bring in Russian from whatever, half of it she goes and sells it to the kiosk outside there. And at the end of the day, when she's going home for her annual holidays, she has got 100-something thousand shillings more in addition to what we pay her. I go out of my way to pay her 50,000, 40,000 shillings to tell her, go and take care of the family. But on the other hand, it is endemic, it's pathological. By the time we found out, she's been working with us for close to 15, 16 years. And we only found out because there was a conflict between two of them who were both working for us. And one of them divulged and said, you think she's a saint? You think she's the best person? And that's what I thought myself. And that goes for every household in this country. Everybody steals in this country. The reason why investors cannot come here and invest their money and go and look at only their bank balances is because those people they put in charge of this place, who are Kenyans, will steal from them. In other parts of the world, you invest your money and you forget about it. You don't come to look, oversee it every day. Here you have got to even watch on the daycare in the nursery schools because there are teachers who are abusing those small children in the nursery schools. Maids who are abusing children. Have you seen how children are being abused by maids? And you have to put a CCTV everywhere. So we need to have a moral, what do you call, rearmament in this country where we begin preaching from all levels, from the political pedestals, from the religious, from the social, from universities, and see that, look, we have to reconfigure again our dignity and as a nation ourselves and our values and our morality. Now, those are the kind of things one has to look for.
Indeed.
And we talk about money being lost. The slide of the shilling of the deputy speaker there, and I chaired the debate on the slide of the shilling. Who was the biggest beneficiary at that time? And this is the only country whereby you can have the Minister for Finance who's a banker. You get my point? You have somebody who is an investor in the financial sector in this country, one of the biggest investors, and is the Minister for Finance. You have an agriculturist who is dealing in commodities and everything else, and is the Minister for Agriculture. And that goes on and on. Every sector has been privatized. Health sector. Look at the health sector right now. Why is the private sector working very well and the public sector is not working very well? It's because of the technocrats who are put in there. The government, right from the minister now, because from the president, the investors in the health sector. You get my point? And go to every sector. Go to the insurance sector. Go to literally every sector of this country. Go to what you call the infrastructural development sector. Why is energy very expensive? Why are you paying these big bills for what do you call our electricity, because of the contracted power producers, the private power producers, who are owned by the top-notch political class in this country. All of them, they either own them or they're shareholders in them.
All right.
You see what I mean?
So is the state a criminal enterprise?
Yes, the state is a criminal enterprise. The entire state is a criminal enterprise. And then we don't pay for supply of that. Pay for capacity.
Thank you.
You pay for capacity,
All right.
which means even if we don't need that energy, we pay for it always. Why did the Kenya Airways collapse? Why does every parastatal collapse? Because it's raided by none other than the top leadership of the political class itself.
Farah, you speak quite passionately about this. I can see, you know, with much verve. You are the speaker, one of the speakers panel in the National Assembly. When you talk about the seared conscience of the nation, where people don't really care about one another, that we become a dog-eat-dog society. People will actually steal money and see you cry and see you go hungry. They'll steal money for medical services, and we have people dying in the hospitals, power, blackouts, children dying. At the end of the day, what makes you not raise this issue in the National Assembly? What makes you not put a point of order as a discussion about the morality of this country? Because this is where we are. Or we cannot legislate morality. Can we discuss it?
You just have not been following this parliament. And that's why I say media people also only look for sensational things. How many times did I stand on the floor of the House myself to talk exactly what I'm saying now? How many times did I say that we need to have a new land policy? You can't have one family owning 3.5 million acres, 1 million acres, 800,000 acres, 1.5 million acres, and you have millions and millions of Kenyans, the sons of freedom fighters, who cannot even get a small plot. Look, you're not interested in that, I know. Nobody's interested in that. When you talk about that very common man, no Kenyan, including the media itself, is interested in that. I talked about that myself. I talked about the education sector. Hang on a minute. I talked about the education
We need to hear from the rest as well.
You just challenged me and told me that why didn't I pick up these issues?
I
picked up these issues. I picked up when the shilling slide was being done, the artificial slide of the shilling itself. Only one bank made 28 billion, what do you call Kenya shillings, and connected to people who were in power at that time. And we brought that thing out. Do you know what? Can I tell you something? In the moment this thing now, look, I'm not going to name names, but the opposition will make a lot of noise. When they make a lot of noise, there's a side talk there. The next thing you know is they tell you, no, this is okay, you can leave it behind. So it's a criminal enterprise. It's just that they missed their share.
Thank you. They missed the share.
They missed their cut.
Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that.
If you want to get this country on a new moral rearmament, count me on. I'm ready for that. You get my point?
Fantastic.
And I've had a lot of these things.
Thank you.
But then we need to have a nation that is geared towards that. The intellectual class. The media itself. You get my point? Everybody has got to
Thank you, Farah. Thank you. Honorable Tabitha, I want us just for a brief moment that we have before we wind up the show, focus on the National Dialogue Committee. And we can see it teetering on the brink of collapse as it is right now. It will crumble to dust. The people are calling for new demands, as it were. But everyone has been raising questions regarding this particular National Dialogue Committee and the authenticity of it. At the end of the day, are we, as Kenyans, being taken for a ride that something is happening? But we see at the end of the day, it will just taper off. Because as it is, and from the information that we're privy to, is that deals have been made so far. And people also will be backpedaling on issues that they should have been very much involved in. First of all, what is making the National Dialogue Committee not move forward? Is it the cost of living? Or just briefly, we would want to dwell into it. I know tomorrow will be a big day. They will be meeting also the CS Treasury.
Very good question, Dibal. And allow me just to go back a bit and say that we had the first season 1 of the bipartisan talks, which failed. We are on season 2, and we are coming to the tail end.
And this is beyond even the extension of a time. So
yes, with an extension that we accorded, both houses did accord.
Until last Friday.
time, more 60 days to be able to execute and finish up. And the reason I've just moved back is because, one, you realize during this process of the bipartisan talks, money is also being used. The resources, the taxpayers' money is being used. The question of why did we get into the bipartisan talks? It is simply because of where we were coming from. We were coming from the maandamano moments, and the issue was on the issue of cost of living. We have said as Kenya Kwanza that yes, we agree that the cost of living is high. Is it permanent? No, it is temporarily. On the many measures that maybe today we might not talk about, but there are processes and measures that are already in place to be able to ensure that that is cut. But on table, why we went on table was why Azimio actually was welcomed in these talks was because of the agenda of the cost of living. But we said and stated that earlier, apparently in our watch there is the personal benefit that, of course, individuals want to benefit. We have stated and said that Raila had already spoken with the president, and they had their own meetings and done their own negotiations. But since, for the sake of the people, the talks have been going on with that particular aim. As the government side, we've been able to explain into the measures that have been put in place, and we've refused on the issues of subsidy. Now, since we are coming to the tail end, individuals affiliated to the party leader of Azimio, that is Honorable Raila, they have realized that whatever they wanted to have as a stake in terms of what is their share, simply in terms of personal share, in terms of their own offices, their own appointments are not coming to light. And that is what we had said from the beginning, that is not what is going to be done. Then the ranting is now being shouted. Why were they not shouting in the beginning of it and say, then this has to happen? At the tail end, when they feel the Madhakaruas and the other affiliated surrounding leaders around there, that they are feeling, what is there for me? There's nothing there for you. The other person, Kionyis, what is there for me? There's nothing there for you. Then that is where you can see the agitation is pronouncing itself. If genuinely, and I have personally stated, if genuinely the discussion was on the cost of living, there should be the discussion of facts, that this is what we've said, that the cost of unga is at this price, it's at 175. Remember, we met it at 250. But we are saying we need it to go to 150. Okay. Then what are the strategies? What are the parameters? What are the rationales that they are putting in place, as Azimio, to say, why can't you do this? Why can they come out to the media and say, we have said that they can be able to do A, B, C, and D for us to get to this point of cost X price of this X commodity? That is not happening. What they are doing behind the back is trying to bring their own personal benefit, which is not happening, which has been refused. And that is why now we are where we are, trying to say, now, if this is not going to be addressed, we are going back to the streets. You are going back to the streets to do what? You had more than, 90 plus 60 days. It's been over 4 months. Having minds being able to sit and discuss, and then you want to take Kenyans to the streets. Why? Because that is the narrative you want to thrive in. But let me tell you, as I've said earlier, Kenyans are tired of going to the streets. That energy is not there. And I had people say, Baba, tell us to go back to the streets. Tell us to. Even Baba is tired.
All right. Okay. Let me hear from Dan Manzo, because we've had this issue of the Kamwene Forum really calling up for, they're saying, maybe during the Azimio, they're calling up for going back to demonstrations. That is Martha Karua was calling out for, that if things don't really change, we have no option but to go back to the streets. And we had Honorable Honorable Raila Odinga also coming to the fore and saying there's no going back to the streets, we'll demonstrate from our own houses. We're not speaking from the same mouth. She has mentioned the fact that, I don't know how factual that is, that there has been a negotiation between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga. Is that true?
I am not aware of any negotiations between the two, but we know both of them set up the bipartisan talks. The bipartisan talks.
So there has been no negotiation?
I am not aware.
All right.
So far.
Tabitha, you mentioned there has been a negotiation. What negotiation are we talking about?
The Deputy President clearly highlighted during the beginning of this season 2 talks, he came out and said that already these negotiations have been done.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
and he stated
and
that there is
yourself,
nowhere.
did you miss that particular clip where the Deputy
Well,
President
you know,
was
that
saying
was
that
just
there
a
has a negotiation in Mombasa, and even I think this was when he was in your turf in Makueni.
Exactly, he was actually one of the members of Parliament barriers. We were burying the mom, and we were in the Ukambani region when the Deputy President stated that. And Maanzo is very watchful and keen on the Ukambani politics. This was said actually in our own eastern region.
I was present. I was present in that particular meeting.
Was something was mentioned like that? I'm surprised you don't.
I thought the Deputy President was merely playing politics. The meeting in Mombasa with the President Obasanjo was there of the three of them, so that they could go and settle the bipartisan talks. Actually, what the Deputy President was trying to say was that it is over between Raila Odinga and President Ruto. In a way, they have agreed. But I thought he could not verify that. I thought that was just a political talk and some wishful thinking of some sort, because he was trying to tell Kenyans that President Ruto has bought Raila Odinga, and I don't think that is true. I thought that was really political, and he personally has been opposed. The Deputy President has been opposed to these talks. He felt that they were not favoring him politically. And you see, the nation has to proceed. You have to move on. The nation is bigger than the Deputy President. The nation is bigger than the President. The nation is bigger than the opposition leaders. We have a duty to keep Kenya going for the sake of other Kenyans. And the first bipartisan talks collapsed because the Deputy President was uncomfortable. I remember when now we were trying to bring in the second bipartisan talks. First of all, it was approved by National Assembly. There was resistance from some of his associates. And Ishungwa was clear that the President has directed that we have bipartisan talks. And I thought at that particular moment, there was a departure point between the President and his deputy. In fact, the deputy went public and said he has stated what he has stated. And if it's bad on him, let it be, even if it's politically. So then came to Senate. And I remember his senator of Nyeri, Matinga, was mobilizing senators to reject the bipartisan talks. But eventually it ended up being a Nyeri affair. Even the other senators from Central Province went by chariot. Now I have seen chariot try to take hard positions that if the levies, the House levies, you see everybody had an idea. And they were not going to be so high, and they had to be formulated properly. The fact that they have not been formulated properly in some well-done law, you know, so that there's a debate even whether it is a levy or it's a tax. And the truth of the matter is a tax. And then there has been questions, where are you going to build these houses? For who? Who will buy them? And we realized that a normal Kenyan will never buy these houses. So they are only be built for a certain class of people. And even as far as I can know, in Makueni County, there is no government land or any land has not been acquired to build this. If they were to be shared equally in the country, they then should go by each county. The only government land there and the houses for government there have been abandoned for years. And even up to now, even in the current supplementary, there is no budget or even this levy is collected to construct the government houses in Makueni. So that shows how a big failure this so-called housing levies and the housing for poor people is there. So I believe the bipartisan talks should succeed.
Thank you.
And should be for the benefit of Kenyans, but not for benefit of individuals.
Well, Speaker, I know you were in a tearing rush because the assembly is today. You need to be there for preps as well.
We have a speakers panel.
You have a speakers panel. Yeah, I'll be releasing you shortly. But I wanted just to ask you briefly, because we've got like 5 minutes to go, then we give your parting shots. We have the Parliamentary Service Commission and Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Just briefly, you as legislators want to bypass Salaries and Remuneration Commission and to give the services of for them to determine your salaries and your bucks to the Parliamentary Service Commission. Why?
You see, you have a Parliamentary Service Commission. The Salaries and Remunerations Commission itself is the least qualified to determine how these salaries themselves should be managed in the country. Because I'll tell you one simple reason. In that hierarchy that they built up in that place, there are three arms of the government. One arm of the government is the legislature, which is the longer arm for your information, and it comes before the executive and the judiciary. And then you have the judiciary, and you have you have the executive, and then you have the judiciary. These are people who have decided that in that government hierarchy, members of parliament are number 18. Something like that. Where they put, I think, the judges of Court of Appeal, they put up everybody, cabinet, everybody above that. That tells you how scanty and how ignorant they are in trying to understand the very philosophy of governance itself and government itself. This is an arm of government where the speaker is the head of that arm of the government. And there's a longer arm for your information. And the deputy speaker is the deputy to that. The counterpart is the president, his deputy president, the chief justice, and his deputy chief justice. These are people who have decided that a deputy chief justice can have a pension even after being there, because they're only there for one term. But the deputy speaker is not entitled to a pension like that. And this is the more, in the hierarchy, if, God forbid, during the old days when we were here before the deputy president itself, we used to have vice president and the rest of it, and we even had a prime minister. The office of the deputy speaker came above that of the deputy prime minister. Let me be honest with you on that. And the deputy prime ministers came. That's why I was given an EGH myself on my first term. But today, our the deputy speaker in that, Galade Shole, was given an MGH. I mean, look at how sick it is. So there is need to be a re-education of all the people how these different arms of the government work.
Right, but given those issues,
I'll explain to you, and they don't know anything about it. I'm not going to say that there's too much salaries for the MPs, or there's too little salaries, or they've allocated more, or they've allocated less. But the mere fact that they're able to see members of parliament as being number 8 in their own hierarchy there is in itself an anomaly, a very powerful anomaly.
Well, it's in the public domain. The legislators at SRC have not been seeing eye to eye. You've always wanted to actually scrap this particular commission.
SRC is an animal that was basically, they believe that they have the powers themselves without understanding what are the terms of reference in the entirety. And then having a philosophical knowledge of how all those arms work and how the hierarchy in terms of the government is concerned. You know, God forbid, if anything were to happen to our president, let me listen to you. If anything were to happen to our president and deputy president at one go, the Speaker of the National Assembly becomes the acting president.
Correct.
The Speaker of the National. If anything were to happen to all of them, before, the deputy speaker would have assumed that role itself. But now, if everything happens to them, then of course the cabinet will sit down and have somebody. I don't know how it's in the constitution now.
This is the cabinet.
The cabinet
will have to
and choose one among themselves. But before that, there was no room for anybody to be chosen. They all were out there.
But given that scenario,
so when
briefly, because we need to wind up.
Can I just finish?
So that
when I was the deputy speaker and we go for these public functions, my place was there. My place was there next to the speaker. But right now, I can see the deputy speaker of the Senate and the deputy speaker of the National Assembly. I shoved up somewhere out there. Nobody cares about them. So in a sense, I think Parliament has realized that there is a system that is designed to bring back like the old first Moi, the Kenyatta government, where politicians did not matter. Kenyatta used to work with the civil servants, and you will see he will be in a place. And next to him will be the PC, you know what I mean? And all that, the administrators. Because politicians at that time were supposed to be earning the list. I came to Parliament when members of Parliament were earning 10,000 shillings in 1992, when I first came into Parliament, early 1993. So my position is that I am not going to debate on exactly how much is enough for a member of Parliament in terms of salaries and the rest of it.
Should the
I have no problem with that.
Determine that.
But I think if you have a Parliamentary Service Commission, the independence of Parliament, hang on a minute, the independence, the reason why we have a Judicial Service Commission, or you have what they call a Parliamentary Service Commission, is to create that administrative, operational, and financial independence, independent arm of the government.
All right, Tabitha, I think this is a topic we need to delve deeper because we don't have any interest of time.
So for the salaries remuneration, it can only be advisory as far as I'm concerned for those two institutions. It can only be advisory. You know what I mean?
But Parliamentary Service Commission, you have the parliamentarians who are commissioners in that particular commission itself.
Yes.
And then you are sitting to decide your own parks. I mean, that is a conflict of interest.
Can I come back to that and just give you a very good idea, a powerful idea that I've been advocating for myself for the longest?
Could we share that for next week?
PSC can be allowed to do that, but only it takes effect from the next parliament. The fact that, you see, that's what I've been saying. I've been saying that for the longest, for 20 years now. The Parliamentary Service Commission, or even Parliament itself, when we're trying to agitate for that independence of Parliament itself. A Parliament can decide on its own parks, but it takes effect from the next Parliament.
But I mean,
because you don't know whether your foe is going to be there or somebody else is going to be there. There's going to be rationale.
So this will be for your own interest, because you're looking for your own interest at the end of the day.
No, I am not looking for my own interest. It's the interest of the country, because I don't know if I'm going to be in the next Parliament.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically, it's that allow the PSC to do certain things, but let it take effect from the next part.
I think there's okay. Let me just let's just get to our closing remarks. Tabitha, you're giving also your sentiments on that as well, and Dan Mazo.
I did not finish my closing remarks. My closing remarks is
can we hear from them?
Yes. I can't be here without talking about the floods and the problems we have right now in the province. Yes. The whole region is cut off.
You know, I was just winding up the show because I want to give you time also to be in the speakers panel as well, because we want to go. Yeah.
So we need. This is a pledge. This is an appeal myself to the government. The government is
Let's do this, Farah. Let's do this. Can we hear from Tabitha? Closing remarks, Dan Mazo. Then you can actually give yours as well. Yeah, to be fair.
Okay.
On the issue of Parliamentary Service Commission, I can state that it's actually very independent. And its term even goes for 6 years, such that by the time a new parliament comes aboard, then they have time to wind up. And some of these decisions are decisions that are depending on the timings that might benefit or disadvantage the current parliament or the coming in that is in place. And I can tell you, Dibal, we do not even interfere. They are very, very much independent, depending on the issues that they are addressing. Just as I do my closing remarks, is to advise that let us give the team for the bipartisan talks time to conclude, wind up, and give us a report. And I urge the opposition, Azimio, to be calm, to be composed, and give their leaders who are there time to be able to conclude. We shall execute the report when it's tabled in the House and see what the members came up with. So it is not fair to rush and start negating because you feel your issues have not been addressed. The issues of floods, I agree. We have, quite a very negative impact. Though to say that earlier, yes, this issue had been brought about by the Department of the Meteorological Department, that floods will be there. I've seen that the government is really trying very much to be able to ensure that it gives aid to the areas that have been affected. What I also want to support is that the process to be much more speeded up, so that we reduce the losses that we are currently experiencing as Kenyans. But I'm happy because even the president had stated earlier that we have a budget that has been set aside, the 10 billion, which is good because it had been set aside. So I think now the relevant ministries to try and speed up, because as far as the president is concerned, he had ensured that that is in place, so that now our Kenyans benefit and get the aid that is needed.
Fantastic. Dan Mazo, you closing remarks.
Well, just want to say that bipartisan talks are important and they are bigger than the people who are doing them, and we want a report which will be able to, guide the country properly, and obviously it's going to come back to the houses. In a negotiation, there is, give and take. There must be some willingness to soften hard positions for the benefit of the country. The flood issue is a very serious matter. We have seen what has happened in Makueni. We've lost 8 people so far. Mostly, school children, some of them doing exams, have fallen, into this. And I thought we should really, really prepare, and we should have been prepared on this El Nino phenomenal. When you look at many other parts of the country, there is flooding. You can see houses going through water and sunk and homes lost. I think we must have a policy which runs early, not to wait when the rains have come. We should have dams.